I the a-hole for no longer giving support to my wife's family after I became successful with my own company after they talked down about me? My early 30s wife, mid-20s, grew up in a fairly poor environment. Her grandpa had money, but her mom didn't, and her sister doesn't. My wife has an incredibly strong work ethic. She's probably more accurately defined as a workaholic. When I first met her, I was in trucking, making about $50,000 to $70,000 per year. Since then, I developed a niche in a specialty marketing field and became very good at it. All my friends encouraged me to start my own marketing company. My wife was fully supportive of this, even after we discussed the financial difficulties we would have for the first year or so, due to a limited budget. I made sure she knew that some months I might not receive a paycheck from the business. My salary is paid monthly. Her family, however, was not supportive. They accused me of neglecting my family, being lazy, not wanting to work, etc. They would constantly bring up the fact that I didn't have a job because I was always home, working remotely. She would defend me, but they would ignore it and continue to call me lazy and a deadbeat for putting my daughter in daycare while I worked from home. I was still driving a truck part-time to have a steady, reliable income, but it was only half of what I made on a good week. In the last year, however, I have grown my income from my business beyond what I was making in trucking, and I have very little overhead. Since we cut costs back when I first started, we realized a lot of the things we were paying for were unnecessary, or we found cheaper alternatives, so we never really added those expenses back. As a result, we now have significantly more money. I still drive a semi-occasionally for a friend who owns his truck, mainly to keep my CDL active and stay knowledgeable in the industry as a fallback. Her family has taken note, and they are constantly asking to go out to eat with us, hang out with us, etc. Then get mad when I never pay for their meals, outings, vacations, etc. Aside from my own part of the tab, obviously. Looking back, I understand why they never had money. They were living well beyond their means. But if that makes them happy, then so be it. I let my wife do whatever she wants with her money, which sometimes includes buying things for her family, which I support her doing if that's how she wants to spend it. However, I make sure she knows I don't want a dime of my money going to her family, since they were very unsupportive of what led to our financial success, and even went so far as to talk down about me doing what ultimately made us successful. You are not obligated to play nice just because they want your money. I would, however, play nice if I wanted my partner to be happy. You can be polite without giving them anything, especially if they haven't apologized. I'm going with not the a-hole. My wife is definitely happy. She's content with our arrangement and has never complained about it. But recently her family has been putting pressure on her to make me loosen up and be part of the family more. Then this is a her problem, not a you problem. Tell her you will support her however you can. If she wants, you can talk to them directly and explain to their faces, kindly and respectfully, why you aren't giving them money. That may harm your relationship with them, but it will reduce the pressure to get you to loosen up. And if she says yes, be kind and respectful. Just point out that they've yet to say a single nice thing about you or your career. When you drove a truck, you were just a truck driver. When you started your own company, you were a lazy deadbeat who didn't have a job. As far as you can tell, they saw no good qualities in you. Only now that you make money do they suddenly want you around? Sorry, but if you're going to spend money entertaining people, it will be on those who believed in you from the start and showed encouragement rather than constant negativity, or on people who appreciate you for who you are as a person, which hasn't changed no matter what your occupation is. You respect them as your wife's parents, but after the way they've treated you, and made no effort to change that or correct it, they should expect to be treated accordingly. I'm curious as to what your wife says when you say you don't want a dime going to her family. That will tell you everything you need to know. Also, you are not the a-hole. She's fine with it. Occasionally, if I know there is something she really wants to get for her family, I'll compromise and pick up a bill or two on her side that she normally pays, so she has some extra money to spend on them. Not the a-hole, but don't take it out on any kids. I had an uncle who was in a similar situation to you and wouldn't pay for anything for anyone who put him down. And that trickled down to their kids. For example, he'd offer to take all the teens out for ice cream but wouldn't pay for theirs. It put a damper on his daughter's relationship with her cousins and his relationship with his nieces and nephews. I definitely don't. The kids and teens I take out all the time for events, pay for their sports gear, etc. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my friends use my backyard for their wedding because they do not want me to bring a +1? Here is the situation. Last summer, I bought my grandparents' house. This house was the hangout spot for my friends and me throughout our childhood. This includes my friend Dave. The house has a sizable amount of land, which includes a lake and a gazebo. I was supposed to buy the house with my now ex-girlfriend, Leslie. But while going through the process of getting approved to buy, I found out that she had massive amounts of credit card and personal debt that she hid from me throughout our 4 years together. As a result, I decided to break up with her. That was about 6 months ago. I met Leslie because Dave's long-term girlfriend, Kim, is Leslie's cousin. Dave and Kim are engaged and set to get married in April. When I was buying the house, they asked if they could have the ceremony at the gazebo, which I agreed to. In December, I started dating again. Leslie has not taken this well at all. She thinks we are going to get back together and has tried multiple times to make that happen. I have told her in no uncertain terms that isn't happening. Dave and Kim have asked me not to bring a +1 to the wedding for Leslie's sake. I have told them that this request is ridiculous. This wedding is happening at my house, using my land, and I am not allowed to bring a date because of a crazy ex? If that is the case, then they need to find a new venue for the wedding. They are mad about this, given the short time frame before the wedding is supposed to happen. So we are at an impasse. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I have seen a few things brought up multiple times in the comments, so I will quickly address them here. 1. I am fully aware of the liability issues, which is why I purchased, and they reimbursed me for a special event insurance policy that will provide 100% coverage for any damages, claims, injuries, etc. to any of the property or persons up to $2 million. It was one of the first things we did after I agreed to have the event at my house. 2. The wedding will have a maximum of 75 guests. If everyone comes, 5 catering staff, and 5 security staff. The house has hosted events twice the size, and logistically it has been fine. On the property, there are 2 cottages, one with 1 bathroom and the other with 2 bathrooms. The only portion of my house that will not be locked during the wedding is the finished basement, which has 2 bathrooms. They want to tell you who you can have at your own home, and think it is fine. They're nuts. If they want to dictate guest rules, they should pay for the venue. He is being generous, and they're being entitled. Yeah, he is offering them a free wedding venue, and they're trying to control his personal life in return? That's not how favors work. Pull an Uno reverse. Tell them Leslie isn't allowed on your property, and watch their heads explode. The petty part of me did absolutely consider saying, well, Leslie cannot come to my house or on my land, so it shouldn't be a problem. This is the way. Agree not to bring a date. It's a small concession that actually protects your best interests. Whoever you brought would have the worst time navigating this ex-girlfriend drama. Instead, tell them that you are not comfortable having Leslie on your property, and thank them for bringing this to your attention before the wedding. You had thought you could peacefully coexist with a wedding, but if bringing a date would cause problems, then they've opened your eyes to that not being the case. It's just better for everyone's mental health if she sits this one out. Feed them some BS about not wanting ex-girlfriend drama to take the spotlight away from them on their special day. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother's fiancé the real reason he won't let her invite her family to their wedding? My 29 male brother, 32 male, is engaged to his fiancée, 30 female, and their wedding is in a few months. Everything was going fine until she mentioned wanting to invite her side of the family. My brother immediately shut it down, saying it would ruin the wedding. She was devastated. For context, Her family is lower income, and she's the only one in her family who went to college and built a successful career. Our family is pretty well off, and my brother has always been obsessed with keeping up appearances. I thought he was just being shallow, but then I found out the real reason. A few weeks ago, at a family gathering, I overheard my brother talking to our parents. He admitted he doesn't want her family at the wedding because they're embarrassing and look like they came from a trailer park. He even joked that her dad looks like he crawled out of a Walmart clearance bin. I was disgusted. His fiancée later asked me if I knew why he was so against inviting her family. I tried to dodge the question, but she was genuinely heartbroken and kept pressing me. I finally told her the truth. She went silent, thanked me, and left. Now everything has exploded. She confronted him, called him classist, and is considering calling off the wedding. My brother is furious and says I ruined his life by meddling. Our parents are on his side, saying I should have kept my mouth shut. I feel like she had a right to know, but now I'm wondering, am I the a-hole for telling her? Nah, you did the right thing. She deserved to know before marrying someone who looks down on her family. Her brother wasn't just being shallow, he was straight up cruel, and that's a massive red flag. If he's ashamed of them now, imagine how he'd treat them, and her, in the long run. He ruined his own life by saying those things. You just gave her the truth. Honestly, the second he told her he didn't want her side, but wanted his side, she should have bailed. Not the a-hole. Your brother is, though. The things he said about his fiancé's family are beyond disrespectful. It's not just about the wedding, it's about his character. He's showing how little he values her and her family. She deserves someone who sees her for who she is and supports her, not someone who is embarrassed by her background. Honestly, you did a right thing telling her. She had every right to know what kind of person she's marrying before it's too late. This is such a big character flaw on the brother's part. Respect for her and her background should be the bare minimum in a relationship. Next story. Am I the a-hole? I got a warning at work because I tried to catch the person who kept stealing my lunch, and it turned out to be my manager. She got a reaction and had to go to the hospital. I work at a family-owned company and I'm also pregnant. I've been having issues with someone stealing my lunch. In the beginning, it wasn't as often. I just chalked it up to being an honest mistake. Someone could have confused my lunch with theirs. But nope, it just kept happening more and more. I started putting my name on it, writing passive-aggressive notes, but that didn't help. I would still find my lunchbox empty. Sometimes they would just take a few bites and leave the rest. Even my half-drunk drinks were finished off. They were relentless, and it would happen a couple of times a week. I was at my wit's end because 1. I'm extra hungry due to pregnancy. 2. I am on a really tight budget, so I can't afford to replace the food, meaning I would have to work on an empty stomach for my whole shift. This completely enraged me. I even cried a couple of times in the bathroom because of this. It didn't just happen to me, but it felt like I was being targeted a lot for some reason. I made a decoy lunch, loading it with cayenne pepper because that was the worst thing I had in my cabinet, and I didn't want to hurt them. I don't like spicy food, so I never really use it. I took the food to work the following day and put it in the fridge, but it was still there at the end of my shift, so I took it home and brought it back the next day. Sure enough, it was stolen. About an hour later, there was a commotion. The manager was sick and stuck in the toilet for a while. Her throat swelled up, and she even had to go to the hospital. Turned out she had an allergic reaction. When she came back, she blamed me because she obviously knew exactly whose food she ate. I told her it was her own fault for stealing other people's food. Even after telling my side of the story to her boss, I got a verbal warning, and apparently I got off lightly. Nothing happened to the manager. I don't understand how I'm the bad guy for messing with my own food, but a literal thief gets away with stealing. Not the a-hole. Your only mistake was being honest about your motives. Next time, you gotta pretend you wanted spicy food and didn't know anybody allergic would try to share it. Save your honesty for home. That's the frustrating part. It feels like the system rewards thieves while punishing the victim. If the manager had just respected boundaries, this wouldn't have happened. Fuming over this whole situation, not the a-hole. Ever since I became pregnant, I have been having these super hard cravings for cayenne pepper. When I was pregnant with my oldest, I drank homemade spicy Bloody Mary mix every day and ate whole pickled jalapenos straight from the Costco-sized jar. It's really not that wild, lol. My mom said a dog food bag smelled appetizing a few times. My dad drew the line there. He locked it up and fed the dog himself. Poor Sarah. It was only for 5 months though. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my dad's widow/affair partner any of his estate and evicting her and my half-siblings from my childhood home? 5 years ago, my 25 female parents were still together when my father was caught having an affair with Jenna. Jenna confronted my mother and let her know that she was pregnant. My mother was devastated and chose to end herself. I was heartbroken, and I believe that in some way, my father was too. While I mostly blame him, the words Jenna said to my mother were cruel and, in my opinion, the main cause of her death. My father wanted to leave Jenna, but because she was pregnant, he married her instead. In my culture, women who are unmarried with children face significant stigma. They went on to have a second child together. I hadn't spoken to my father in the last 5 years, despite his many attempts. A large part of me has hated them both too much to reconcile. My father recently died in a car accident on his way home from work. I found out that he had never updated his will or estate. Everything was left to me, including his life insurance. Jenna tried to fight me in court, but my lawyer pointed out that she had an affair with my father while he was married. The judge ruled in my favor and shamed Jenna. Adultery is not taken kindly here, which is why the judge awarded her nothing. I had Jenna and her 2 children evicted from my childhood home. Jenna and her family have been furious with me. My father was a very wealthy man, and Jenna worked as a receptionist when they met. She now has no money to her name and lives with her mother. She believes I wronged her and my half-siblings. However, I do not consider them my family, and I resent them because they will always be her children. Am I the a-hole? Everyone I know is so divided. Consequences. Always so smug about it when they're up high, but somehow everybody owes them when they're low. The worst type of person. Not the a-hole OP. Consequences are right. Not the a-hole. Karma took a few years to show up, but boy did she come in with a vengeance. Jenna should have made sure he updated his will. Makes one wonder if he deliberately did not change it. Wondering that myself. I also wonder if the half-siblings were ever tested for their paternity. Almost sounds like some baby trapping went on, and OP mentioned the dad had regrets. There could be good reason for the dad not changing his will along with doing right by OP.